Hey everybody, it's Becky Bullard from Democrasexy, and this is the first installation of Tarot for America. I've been doing Tarot for Texas, but I was realizing that a lot of the messages that were coming through probably would resonate for people who aren't just in Texas. So I wanted to broaden the scope. So we're doing Tarot for America, and this seemed like an auspicious day to begin. It is January 6th, the 1-year anniversary of the insurrection at the US Capitol. That was one of the heaviest moments for me in 2021. I don't know how y'all felt about it. It kind of knocked me on my ass for several days and left me really shaken. Today I've been seeing a lot of people's retrospectives and reflections on what happened a year ago, and also a lot of dire warnings about that kind of being just the beginning of an organized insurrection, and in some cases maybe even not organized, but individuals feeling emboldened to take extreme action on behalf of what they see as a righteous cause. And that was making me feel not at all comforted. And so I decided to turn to my tarot deck today and ask the cards, how can we heal moving forward from that really egregious breach in our democracy and between each other, and how can we move forward? How can we heal? So that's what I asked the cards. I've pulled 3 cards today. The first one is the 5 of Coins. So the 5 of Coins is about a really tough time. It's about loss, and it is about kind of feelings of isolation, maybe even shame and embarrassment associated with that loss. And maybe we're afraid to even say out loud our feelings about what's going on. And so we feel even more isolated. And I know when the January 6th insurrection happened last year, I definitely felt like, because we were all so isolated, quarantining, I definitely had this feeling of like, is everyone else as freaked out by this as I am? Is it just me? Like, I kind of felt like I was going crazy. And I think that's kind of reflected here. But I think the message here in how we can heal and move forward is one of the hardest things to hear, which is that we need to look in the mirror. And I think, we see the mirror here is shattered. Perhaps we've broken the mirror because we don't want to look at ourselves, and we don't want to look at our part in how things have gotten to where they are. And then I look at this little boy here, and it's kind of like, okay, what needs to be healed is our own inner child. In the ways that I talk about people who disagree with me, how have I made it worse? And so that's where I'm starting, is what is my part? And I think, we're kind of looking out there like, someone come save us, someone come fix this. But there is no someone, and there's no one that we are able to fix or really get to do anything at all other than our own selves. And so I think that's the first step in healing, is to get brave and look in the mirror, look at our own hurts and how we can heal our own hurts, and also how we can stop contributing to hurts of others. So that's the first card. Second card, the Chariot. And I like these two, that this came right after the 5 of Coins, because the 5 of Coins is telling us to get right within ourselves, right? Get right emotionally, figure out what we're about, heal the pieces of us that need healing. And then once we're strong internally within our own values and within our own motivations. Then we get the Chariot, and the Chariot is a really cool card. It's about action. And so if we are hoping to be saved and we're just sitting by, that's not going to happen. It's up to us to take action. And the cool thing about this is the Chariot, there's no reins. There's no, you're not like physically in control. You're controlling the motion of the Chariot with your own willpower and with your own internal compass, which I think is pretty cool. And it's like, once you are strong and true in who you are and where you're going, you're moving ahead with that. Another thing I love about this Chariot card is these black and white cats there in the front, and they're looking in different directions, and they represent duality. So for me, when I'm thinking about my emotions and feelings around the insurrection, I'm holding two things at the same time. And one is my anger and hurt toward the people who perpetrated the insurrection. And the other is actually a tenderness toward those same people, because in order to act in such an extreme way, and in order to believe that violence on the Capitol was their best solution to whatever problem they're facing, there must be deep hurt in there for them. And, you know, it's mostly men who are there storming the Capitol, not entirely, but mostly. And I think in our society, anger is much more accepted, and much more accepted emotion for men to express than hurt or vulnerability. And so I think, you know, unfortunately, the inability for them to be able to express hurt or whatever is underneath that anger is something that allows me to feel tenderness toward them. And so as I'm thinking about the action that I'm going to take, it's going to be important for me to hold that duality, my own anger and hurt, and also their anger and hurt, to try and understand where they're coming from. And so to keep both of those things in mind as I'm figuring out what is the action I should take. And it's not going to be violence. There's this really cool group called Radical Reports that has this amazing interactive map where they've mapped out all the networks of the 700 insurgents that were involved in the Capitol insurrection. And they've also compiled all this research into court documents and to try and understand the motivations of these folks who perpetrated the insurrection. And they're all radicalized, but their reasons for being radicalized are all different. And I'm really interested in looking through all that research and trying to see if there are any connective threads underneath the kind of topical reasons that these folks gave for being radicalized. I don't know, just something I think is fascinating. So yes, we're taking action, but we are strong within our own selves, and we are also keeping in mind certain dualities that are necessary for us to proceed in a way that won't cause more hurt. Okay, last card. The Queen of Chalices, or in other decks might be called Queen of Cups. So this is really a card about emotion. And I just really love these three cards together because it's kind of a complete picture of, okay, we need to heal our own internal stuff and get right there. And that will help us feel prepared to take action with our Chariot, and while also keeping in mind, you know, kind of a balanced perspective. And then we get here to the Queen of Cups, and she is all about intuition and all about empathy and all about emotional intelligence. And so I think when we are solid within ourselves, we are better able, when we have healed our own hurts, when we are better understanding of ourselves, we are able to then start to understand the emotions of others without taking them on. So I can try and understand why these people are so angry and hurt that they want to burn down our freaking government. But I don't have to take on that same anger and hurt. And I think that's really beautiful. Also, she's kind of saying we might not be able to come to a rational explanation here. We might have to trust more of an emotional explanation. And I think that might actually be true in this case because, you know, the insurrection was all about like stopping the steal of the election, which factually didn't happen. There wasn't election fraud. So I think the understanding and the resolution isn't going to necessarily be rational in this case. It's going to be more emotional, and it's going to be more trying to understand things from a deeper level rather than a data level. So that's what I'm taking from this very first Tarot for America spread. We've got our 5 of Coins, we've got our Chariot, we've got our Queen of Cups, and I don't know, this was comforting for me to have a different frame for what's been going on and a different way of thinking about it going forward. And also, like, I don't feel a great sense of control over the destiny of our nation, but I do feel a sense of control over my own emotions and how I heal myself and how I move forward. And I hope you do too. See you next time.